Hey guys, this is Butch. I'm here on a beautiful sunny afternoon in Georgetown, Kentucky, at one of my favorite places. I don't even know the name of this little creek, but it's so relaxing to come here. I hope the car noise as folks come by is not too disconcerting for you. But I invite you to join me today. We're not going to learn a story. We're not even going to talk about a story. We're going to talk about one of the key principles of Simply the Story and how I'm applying it right now to a totally different situation other than just telling a story. So stick with us. So for anybody that joined with us last week, on Monday, I read a story on Memory Monday for us to learn out of John chapter 3, verses 9 through 16. And then on Wednesday, with a couple other folks, had a discussion about that story. And I got to tell you, I was really touched by the story. I learned several things there, and even thinking about Nicodemus coming to Jesus, and the fact that part of the heart of that story was that Jesus was trying to get Nicodemus to see that some of his education and his training was actually holding him back from understanding some even more important principles. And that was important to me as somebody who's been trained in seminary, had a wonderful seminary experience. Not against seminary, please hear me. But sometimes things that I was told by professors or histories or additional things having to do with the passage really have hindered me in the past, in some instances, from truly being able to get what God was saying. The definition of Simply the Story is listen and respond, or listening and responding. And so we did this story on Wednesday, and later on in the week, I was teaching an art camp. That's a whole nother story this week via Zoom with an amazing group of young people from Toronto, Canada. But as I was doing that, I got an email. I did not have a chance to read it. And so later on Thursday, I finally had a chance to read this email. It was from somebody that does stories with us all the time, is very active, is a relatively new storyteller. Just really amazed at how quickly she has advanced in her storytelling skills. But she shared how even though she knows how to learn a story, and even though she was familiar with this story, it was very difficult for her. And that she found herself having to go back and check her Bible to see if what she was doing was accurate. And she knew that the reason we were working on this story is because not this weekend, but the following weekend, the last weekend in August, we're going to be doing a pilot radio show, and I'll have something about that later this week that we'll be posting. But she knew that this was the second hour of that pilot radio show. We were going to be doing John chapter 3. And she cared enough to share and say, hey, I just want you to know, I'm somebody that's familiar with what we do, and yet I was struggling. And the whole idea that, okay, if I know what I'm doing and I'm struggling a little bit, this might not be the story that you would want to use as a launch pad for a new radio show. There's nothing wrong with doing it with folks who have gotten more familiar with the process, who have learned a little bit more of what we're doing and why we're doing it, that kind of thing. And there's several ways somebody could respond to something like that, like, really, we've really prayed this through, and get very defensive, right? But I know her heart. And in listening and responding, because our listening and responding, we're listening and responding to a story. We're listening and responding to the storyteller. We're listening and responding to those who are participating with us. I don't want to call them an audience, because that would insinuate, for most of our culture, that they would just be sitting back and listening and not participating. But you're also listening and responding to God, to the Holy Spirit. And so as she was sharing, I was like, wow, yeah, I can see that. I learned some things from that story, but I also realized, even for me, I had to review several aspects of that story before I had it down really, really well. And so now we're going to change the story. I'm not exactly sure yet. I'm going to go ahead here in a minute and record a different story for Memory Monday. But I have to talk to Andrea, our director, to see if this story would be one that we might want to do on the show. But I just want to share with you the importance of listening and responding, of not getting so defensive and so locked into something that you have the potential of missing out on something better. You know, understand somebody's heart. Just because somebody doesn't necessarily agree with you or doesn't jump right on board with you doesn't mean they're against you, right? And so I wanted to take a moment because the listening and responding aspect of what we do as storytellers is really a key component to everything that we do. And I want to thank my friend for sharing with us and being open and honest about, yeah, this was a struggle for me. If it's a struggle for me, it might be a struggle for others. And those are the kind of things that we should value, right? Not allow ourselves to have some kind of emotional response, but like, wow, thank you very much. Now, I evaluated and saw there was a lot of truth to what she shared. There are other times people have shared with me about things and I'm like, I'm looking at that and I'm not seeing the same thing. But in this particular case, it was very appropriate. And so I just wanted to take a moment today to add that little lesson because that is a lot of who we are as a ministry. And that is a key factor for anybody who is telling Bible stories. You want to listen. And you want to listen to the Word, to your hearers, to the Lord, and then respond in an appropriate way. So I hope this teaching time, I realize this is not a story time as such, but I hope this might help you. And love to see your comments, love to hear what you think, and if there's a story, honestly, that just jumps into your mind, well, I'd love to hear what story that is as well. We're going to be doing Numbers 21, 4 through 9 as our first hour of the show, and not positive what we're going to do next, but I've got an idea that I'm going to share with Andrea and see what she thinks about it as well. So if you've not subscribed to the channel, would appreciate it if you'd click on the buttons. Again, I apologize. I'm just not handy enough with the internet stuff to be able to add that to the video. But until the next time, keep on telling those Bible stories.